Santi, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome. So hope everyone is doing well. Today we thought to explore the topic, said stay light, draw might, and think right. Stay light, draw might, think right. Last Sunday in the Murli, Baba's main message was how to be a trustee and not a householder. And if you really look at the life of a trustee, the mind of a trustee is always very light, doesn't take any burden onto himself. And if we really look into this whole aspect of staying light, it's only when I stay light inside that I can actually connect to God in meditation. If I'm not light inside, means if I'm not a trustee inside, I can really not draw might or power from the source, the divine. As in meditation generally becomes a kind of a processing time or maybe a relaxing time, but it's not an empowering time. The soul doesn't feel empowered that much. And when we draw might from the Supreme, then the result is that we then think right. Think right. That's what Baba said, Shubh Chintak. Shubh Chintan and Shubh Chintak. So the thought was today to explore on these aspects. Stay light, draw might, think right. And share a few slides. Says the mind is an emotional carrier bearing the weight of our thoughts. If thoughts are fewer and lighter, the mind remains light. The mind really carries the weight, the emotional baggage. And when the thoughts are fewer, not so many and lighter, the mind remains light. And we all know that when we are under the influence of any emotion, then the mind tends to become heavy. Right? And then thoughts are a lot more and they tend to make us heavy. Fewer and lighter. मतलब कम भी हो और लाइट भी हो, फिर हल्के हो, है ना? या तो फिर मन हल्का रहता है. Says the waste you think is the weight you put on yourself. Think best, stay light. So if I'm thinking waste, I'm actually putting weight on myself. It's a good way to look at it. I'm gaining weight inside if I think anything that is waste. Think best, stay light.
बाबा कहते हैं हर चीज के दो पहलू होते हैं. आप नेगेटिव में भी यू पॉजिटिव. Always you
Stay light. Yeah. And so when we are saying to reduce weight, to stay light, it's about reducing the weight of our thoughts. Our thoughts have become very heavy, right? And so let go of the way it's supposed to be. Resistance is a heavy burden to carry. So whatever scenes are happening, and when there is resistance, then that creates a lot of heaviness, a lot of weight. So it says reduce the weight of your thoughts. Just like we are all conscious about the weight of the body, it's all the more important to be conscious about the weight of our thoughts that we carry. Mm-hmm. Right. And when I stay light, I'm able to draw might from the one. Only when I stay light, I'm able to draw might from the one. This is what Dadi Janki always used to practice, always staying light. And that's how she would draw might from all these. And we have taken up this homework to become waste-free by Diwali. It's like a few weeks away, maybe 2-3 weeks away. But to really work on ourselves so that there is no waste. And when we look at these three, it's more like a vicious loop. So when I stay light, I can draw might, then I can think right in all situations. And when I think right, I can also then stay light. And then I draw more might, and then I think right. So it's like a spiral up in that way. Mm-hmm. And so if we really look at the difference between the two, we say householder, grihasthi, and trustee. The difference is the householder has the attitude to hold on, and trustee has the attitude to let go. That's so holding on to what? Holding on to the thoughts, right? Thoughts of the past, thoughts of this any scene in the drama. And when I hold on to them, I become a householder. I've created a household. And when I'm ready to let go, it's like being a trustee. And so we say outer power is in holding on, and inner power is in letting go. Letting go of the fears, letting go of the worries, anxieties, right? To be able to let go of all the waste. Says if I don't own something as a trustee, I don't own it, I'll think less about it. If I own something, I'll naturally think more about it. If I don't own something, I'll think less about it. So that's why this whole aspect of letting go, reducing weight, is linked with the attitude of being a trustee. So when I am trustee means I don't own it. I'll think less about it. But if I own something, then I'll think, okay, if something goes wrong, then I have to do something to fix it. And so there'll be more thoughts around it compared to when I don't own something. And if you really think, take a pause and think, what is it that I really own? What is it that I really own? Any thoughts? What is it that I really own? क्या हमारा है, हम क्या own करते हैं? thoughts?
Nothing physical.
Nothing physical.
डिपेंड करता है सारा हमारे थॉट के ऊपर. जितना भी पॉजिटिव हमारा रहेगा उतनी लाइफ भी हमारी बहुत इजी है, लाइट रहेगी. तो हर सिचुएशन में वी थिंक पॉजिटिव. And your whole life depends only thought process.
Thought process. Right. So what is it that I own? क्या चीज मेरा है? The subtle qualities. Is it what I own?
Subtle things. What is my behavior?
So I don't own this.
How is my etiquette? मेरी भावना कैसी है?
भावना कैसी है? Right. It's really something to think about. What is it that I own? Something which I own. So house, car, physical things. Definitely, we know it's not. And then the body, then the mind. What is it that I can say I own? Karma. My actions. I own my actions. Right.
I think my attitude.
Attitude.
Yeah, my attitude is good and right. The result is good, right?
Result is right. Right. And so, is I only own my stage. मेरी स्थिति ही मेरी है. Only my stage is what I can create. Everything else is something which is not always in my control. Right. Whatever is happening, let's say whatever is in my hand is my own state of mind, my stage, my inner stage. Everything else, nothing else is, you say I'm responsible for it, but only for my stage. And so the life of an easy yogi, the life of a trustee, that's why when I realized that I don't own anything in this physical world, I own nothing. I live in the now, having won the inner battle. I own nothing. I live in the now, having won the inner battle. The same three letters, right? I own nothing. I live in the now, having won the inner battle. So only when I don't own anything, I can easily focus in this moment. Right?
Having won the inner battle.
Yeah. मतलब जो अंदर की लड़ाई है व्यर्थ संकल्पों के साथ, वो हम फिर जीत जाते हैं. And I'm easily in the moment. I'm easily present, available in the moment. I own nothing. Right. So there is a little story around it. Let's watch it.
Once upon a time, a little boy walked slowly into the room where his mother was sitting at her desk, writing. She glanced down at him and saw that he was carrying a very precious vase that her grandmother had given her. Almost absent-mindedly, she said to him, "Robert, go put the vase down before you drop it and break it." I can't, he replied. I can't get my hand out. Of course you can, she said. You got it down there. He said, I know, Mom, but it won't come out. The neck of the vase was very narrow, and his hand had fit in neatly inside, and it was now up to his wrist. He continued to insist that he could not get it out. Growing a little concerned, his mother called to his dad. Dad calmly took control and began gently pulling the arm, trying to extract the hand from the vase. He tried loosening it up with soapy water. Still nothing. He then got some vegetable oil from the kitchen and poured it around the wrist and let it seep into the vase. He wiggled it some. Still, it did not budge. I give up, the dad said in desperation. I'd give $1 right now to know how to get it out. Really? Little Robert exclaimed. Then they heard a clinking sound, and his hand slid right out of the vase. They turned the vase upside down, and a penny plopped out. What's this? They said in unison. Oh, that's the penny I put inside. I wanted to get it out, so I was clutching it in my hand. But when I heard Dad say he would give $1 to have the vase free, I let go. You see, in life, in your life, it is time to stop holding on to the penny inside the vase so you can be free and live your life. How often do we cling to things when they are nothing in comparison to what could be ours? Stop clinging to the old. Stop having fear. And start living your life. And live it like a great adventure, so you won't have any regrets once you're old and gray. This is Dare to Do.
Did we understand it, everyone? हाँ बताइए.
इसमें क्या हुआ, एक बच्चा था घर में, तो वो खेल रहा था, एक गमला था, बहुत अच्छा गमला था, उसकी दादी ने प्रेजेंट किया था. तो माँ बोलते अपना हाथ निकालो, हाथ नहीं निकालो, हाथ अंदर जा रहा है. तो माँ ने कोशिश किया, नहीं निकला. फिर उसने पापा को बुलाया, पापा ने जोर लगाया, उसमें साबुन का पानी डाला, ऑयल डाला, केवल स्लिपरी होकर हाथ निकला, लेकिन नहीं निकला. तो वो बोलता है कि मैं अगर ये हाथ निकला है, मैं $1 दे दूंगा. बाप बोला, फादर बोला उसको कि अगर ये हाथ निकल आता है, then I will give $1. तो हाथ एकदम निकला है. तो हुआ क्या था, उसने हाथ में एक पेनी पकड़ा हुआ था, और पेनी पकड़ के रखा हुआ था हाथ में, और ऐसे मुट्ठी बंद थी उसकी. तो जैसे उसको लगा मुझे $1 मिलेगा, उसने छोड़ दिया और बाहर निकला है.
मतलब जब कुछ अच्छी चीज मिलने वाला छोड़ेंगे तब कुछ अच्छा. इसका मतलब जो बाबा कहते हैं कि तूफान भी तोहफा है, वो तूफान आया है वो छोड़ने के लिए. जो सिचुएशन है, सिचुएशन को आप लेट गो करो तो आपको बड़ी बिग अचीवमेंट होगा.
मतलब बिना छोड़े नहीं,
बिना छोड़े. So he is holding on to the penny, but he is getting much more than that.
उसके बाद ने कहा घसती और घसती मेरा करके पकड़ा रहता है.
Right. Yes.
घसती लेट गो.
Yes. Let go.
तो हम फ्लाई करते हैं.
Yeah.
Not understanding it.
So this consciousness of a trustee is very, very interesting. And, sometimes we can maybe let go of any responsibility, but sometimes we hold on to the past. And sometimes it is difficult to let go of the past, isn't it? And so there is another little story. Let us watch that story.
So Baba says, only live in present and enjoy.
Enjoy. Yeah.
तो वही था ना कि मेरा कुछ भी नहीं है.
Right.
In the present, live in present and enjoy.
आज मैं जीना और जिंदगी जीत लेंगे.
Yes.
वो था ना, I own nothing, living now and I will never.
इसलिए कहते हैं कि प्रेजेंट अच्छा है तो आपका फ्यूचर भी अच्छा होगा।
अच्छा होगा। हम्म।
We do when the things we want are impossible for us to attain? What do we do when things become hopeless? In Greek mythology, King Sisyphus found himself in a seemingly hopeless situation. After he upset the gods several times, they condemned him to eternal punishment. They tasked him with rolling a boulder up a mountain, but any time the boulder gets close to the top of the mountain, it rolls back down, and he has to start all over again. Accomplishing the task is futile. Escaping his punishment is impossible. So it seems that Sisyphus is trapped in a hopeless situation. What can he do to overcome it? When things become hopeless, the wisest thing to do is to let go. And what must Sisyphus let go of? The past. He can't keep clinging on to his past life, the life he had before he was punished, the life he had as a king, with his wealth, hundreds of servants, and his wife. Because the longer and more tightly he clings to the past, the more unbearable the present moment becomes. He must realize that there is no going backwards. He must accept the present moment and move forward. The present moment is the way it is because it has to be that way. All things happen in accordance with the laws of causality. On planet Earth, if we throw a rock up in the air, it must come back down, and by doing so, it conforms to the laws of cause and effect. And just as it is the rock's fate to come back down once it is thrown up, it is Sisyphus's fate to be where he is right now due to his past actions and circumstances in life. Once he sees that where he is where he must be, where he is meant to be as dictated by universal law, he can let go of the past and accept the present. And once he accepts the present, he can look towards the future. Sisyphus can set himself a new goal that gives meaning to the present moment. For example, maybe he sets the goal of being so muscular when he eventually gets out that his wife will hardly be able to recognize him. And even though he might never get out, he still finds the goal useful to give meaning to his present suffering. He finds the goal useful to give him hope. So he starts tracking the number of times he can lift the boulder up the mountain in a single day. Then he starts tracking the amount of time it takes him to roll the boulder up once. So every day, he increases the number of times and the speed with which he lifts the boulder up the mountain, causing him to get stronger and stronger each day. So by letting go of the past, accepting the present moment as fate, and setting a future goal that gives meaning to his present suffering, he regains a new sense of hope and joy. When Albert Camus, a French philosopher, analyzed this myth in his essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, he concluded, quote, "The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy." Camus came to a similar realization, that Sisyphus must accept his fate and set meaningful goals to overcome his punishment. But how does Sisyphus' story relate to our own lives? At one time or another, all of us will be faced with a situation similar to him. Maybe someone close to us passes away, or we unexpectedly lose a limb in a car crash, and we find ourselves clinging to a past that is no longer attainable. And at that moment, we must decide, do we continue to pursue the unattainable and live in frustration, or do we move on? Do we remain stuck in the past, or will we, like Sisyphus, learn to let go of the past by embracing our current situation as our destiny and setting a new goal that gives meaning to our current suffering? Maybe we take the pain from losing a loved one and use it as fuel to create a future that honors them. Or maybe we take the pain of losing a limb and use it as fuel to become an inspiration to others, to show them that it's possible to thrive under any circumstance. Pain stops being pain at the moment it becomes fuel for a better future. Or as Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, wrote in his book Man's Search for Meaning, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning.
हिंदी में बताएंगे नरेश भाई। तो ये ऐसा है कि इसमें बताया कि जैसे एक राजा था, पर वो बैटल्स वगैरह हार गया, उसको पनिशमेंट फिर मिला, उसको ये पनिशमेंट मिला कि वो जो है ऊपर ले जाएगा और उसके बाद वो फिर नीचे आ जाएगा, वो जो रॉक है, तो उसको ऐसे ऐसे करना है। तो अभी उसकी लाइफ कितनी होपलेस है, his life is hopeless. So in this situation, what does he do? When a situation is hopeless, what does he do? So in this video, it shares that in such a situation, the best thing to do is to let go. To let go of the past. वो ये भूल जाए कि मैं राजा था, कि मुझे पनिशमेंट मिला, मेरा क्या होगा, इसको भूल जाए। पर ये सोचे कि हाँ, अभी ये मेरी एक्सरसाइज हो रही है, इससे मेरी मसल स्ट्रांग होने वाली है, ये मुझे गिफ्ट मिला है ना। यानी पास्ट को भूलकर प्रेजेंट के चैलेंज को फोकस करके और उस चैलेंज में अच्छाई ढूंढकर फिर उसको करें। जैसे एग्जांपल दिया कि सपोज हमने कोई एक्सीडेंट में एक लिम्ब चला गया, तो ये तो होपलेस सिचुएशन है, पर इसमें ऐसे सोचे नहीं, आई हैव टू बी एन इंस्पिरेशन फॉर अदर्स, राइट। सो टू लेट गो ऑफ द पास्ट। ये तो पास्ट से हम कंपेयर करते रहते हैं कि ये मेरा था, अभी नहीं है, कितना और कैसे अचीव करें। तो टू लेट गो ऑफ द पास्ट, लाइक ट्रस्टी व्हेन वी आर सेइंग लेटिंग गो, छोड़ देना, तो इसमें पास्ट को भी छोड़ना ही भी बहुत जरूरी है। टू लेट गो ऑफ द पास्ट, because only when I let go of the past, that's when I can let God in. You know, some my story. Does it make sense? Story. Huh? Does it make sense?
मतलब जैसे राजा जब हार गया, उसको सजा मिली कि पहाड़ पत्थर को ऊपर ले जाना है, ऊपर छोड़ देना, फिर ले जाना फिर। तो दुखी था कि क्या करूं, ये तो मेरा भाग्य बन गया। लेकिन फिर बोला, फिर उसको बोला, कोई सोचा कि भाई ये तो मेरा एक्सरसाइज बने, मसल्स बनेगी, तो इससे बड़ा था कि अपना खुश होने लगा। उसी तरह से अगर मालूम हमारा कोई हाथ कट जाते या पैर कट जाते है, कोई ऐसा है, तो हम ये नहीं सोचे कि हम तो बेकार हो गए, हम क्या होगा, बल्कि उसी कंडीशन में जीना सीखे और औरों के लिए एक इंस्पिरेशन बनाए कि हमको देख के और लोग, जैसे डांसर का है ना, उसके पैर कट गए थे, इसके बावजूद उसने डांस किया और काफी हायर परफॉर्मेंस हो गया। मुझे भी देखो
राइट,
एक और दिखा है जिसके हाथ भी नहीं है, पैर भी नहीं है,
मोटिवेशन स्पीकर
इंस्पायर कर रहा है,
राइट,
अपनी लाइफ को तरीके से दिया, कुछ भी
कि
नहीं, नथिंग हैंड्स एंड नथिंग लाइक।
तो मतलब औरों के लिए इंस्पिरेशन बनता है।
हाँ, the way to let go of the past so that I can be comfortable in the present,
जो है हमारे पास,
and then I'm able to accept.
उसी में अपना
जो है वो यही है, all we have is really this moment. इसको हम अच्छी तरह से करें, पास्ट भुलाते जाए, पास्ट भुलाते जाए। So very nice practice that we can really, so is that ki I the soul, so I live in Param Dham, right, and I come from there to this earth to play my part. पर ऐसे सोचे कि I've just come right now, कि only right now I have come, there's no other past. ये तो अभी हमें क्या है, सारा पास्ट हमें याद रहता है, ये हुआ फिर ये हुआ फिर। पर जब हम ये ड्रिल करें कि मैं आत्मा अभी अभी परम धाम से इस देह में, इस दुनिया में अवतरित हुई, मेरा कोई पास्ट नहीं है, बस पास्ट यही है कि मैं परम धाम निवासी, बस इतना ही पास्ट, there's no other past. So then it's as if it becomes very easy for me to accept and enjoy this moment. So in Sunday's Murli, the main point was said Shubh Chintan and Shubh Chintak. Right? And so if we really look at various words around Chintan and Chinta, so these are the various words. The first is Chinta, which means worry or anxiety. And then is Chintan. Chintan is reflection. I reflect. Now, Chintan can be either Vyarth Chintan, which is Par Chintan, or it can be Shubh Chintan. Shubh Chintan is, it could be Swachintan or Paramatam Chintan. So in our state of mind, the mind which is very weak, it will be which one? These thoughts, right? So when the mind is weak, it will be more like Chinta, worry and anxiety. So from there, first we come to Chintan. Chintan is I start reflecting on myself. And then slowly and slowly, once I go towards Swachintan and Paramatam Chintan, then by doing that, constantly it builds my stage of being a Shubh Chintak. Shubh Chintak. So that's why Baba said, no, one is Shubh Chintan, other is Shubh Chintak. Both are different, right? So Shubh Chintan is the process by which then I reach a stage of being Shubh Chintak, which means when I'm on the field of actions, then my stage is of constant, pure thoughts and feelings. Means there is nothing that can disturb my stage. Shubh Chintak Sthiti. Like God is always Shubh Chintak. In the same way, then I also reach the stage of being a Shubh Chintak. But again, it starts with, when we are saying think right. So stay light, draw might. So from the power that I receive from God, then I'm able to really be on this side. And then the Shubh Chintak Sthiti really emerges. And then a few ways that the stage of being Shubh Chintak or thinking right materializes. One is this feeling that I'm not doing anything. Everything is happening on its own. जैसे कि हम अभी जीवित हैं, we are alive. What are we doing to be alive? What am I doing to be alive? Is it अगर मैं alive नहीं हूँ तो कुछ matter नहीं करता. Nothing else matters, right? If I'm not alive, if I'm not in this body, then nothing of this story matters to me anyways, right? So what is it that I'm doing to be alive? Am I instructing the blood to flow in the arteries and veins? Am I instructing carbon dioxide to be released? Am I instructing oxygen to come in? Am I instructing any of that? No. Am I instructing the sun to rise? Am I instructing the weather to change? Am I instructing the water to come? Nothing. What is it that I'm doing, really? If I really think about it, what is it that I'm doing? Is it something that I'm doing, or is life happening to me? Is it happening to me, or I'm actually doing something? If you really think about it. क्या हम सही में कुछ कर रहे हैं या हमारे साथ हो रहा है?
चिंता है तो कुछ नहीं कर रहे.
हाँ.
जिंदा है इसलिए हो रहा है.
हाँ. Ourselves, right?
गहराई से सोचे तो हम कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते.
अब सांस लिए तो अब जिंदा रह सकते हैं, तो कोई जिंदा रख रहा है हम, समझ हम कोई जिंदा रख रहा है, ये सब जिंदा है, हम तो जिंदा रहने कुछ नहीं, सांस नहीं ले सकते। अब आप मतलब हार्ट को थोड़ी के चलो पंप नहीं कर सकते हार्ट, लंग्स को नहीं
कहते
काम
हैं
करो,
सोचो नहीं ऊपर वाला चला रहा है।
लंग्स को काम करो नहीं बोल सकते, अपने काम करो सांस के लिए, किडनी को नहीं बोल सकते प्योरीफाई करो ब्लड को,
Right.
So all is depends on good karma.
सब हो रहा है।
हाँ सब कुछ मतलब आपके खाली कर्म भी आपको सब कुछ मिलेगा उस प्रकार से।
Yeah, it's something
Yes.
just to realize that. Yeah.
Also, take care of yourself. It's feeling right there very soon.
Right.
So there's something we have to do,
Mm.
but the things you explained are the things we don't have to worry about.
Mhm. Yeah, in the same way, it's like if I really look at life and this whole sense of ownership, we feel that I own, it's like I own my story. It's like that sense of ownership doesn't allow the soul to really express itself fully. And that's where, it's this realization that things are already evolving. I just need to be myself. And everything will automatically happen. So all I need to really worry about is myself. And that's why we say spirituality is to be selflessly selfish. Right. So of course it is to be selfless, but it's to be selfish. Means I have to think about my stage, my thoughts, the attention has to be inside. Of course, externally, being selfless is to, care for everyone, of course. But then in doing that, it's like, it's not that I'm doing because, I need something from anyone. No, it's to be selfish inside. That's very important. Yeah.
सबके बारे में शुभ चिंतन।
हाँ, सबके बारे में शुभ
हिंदी में कहते हैं कर भला तो हो भला, नेकी कर
दरिया बेटा।
मतलब नेकी मतलब think good and क्या बोलेंगे उसको?
Yeah.
And good,
Let it go. Forget. Yeah.
Forget.
Forget it.
Think good and forget.
Yeah. Think good and forget. And just a thought to hold. So when we are saying, think right. Think right means not to think about the problems, isn't it? So when we really say where are the problems and where are the solutions, and problems are inside the story. इस कहानी में जो भी हो रहा है ना, प्रॉब्लम्स उसी के तो अंदर है ना। पर होता क्या है कि sometimes we look for solutions inside the story. हम उसका जो हल है, समाधान है, वो उसके अंदर ढूंढना चाहते हैं। But really the solutions are outside the story. Outside meaning in my dimension of light, being a soul, right, in Paramdham and in Baba's world, there are no problems. That's where the solutions emerge. And so the moment I notice a problem, many times, that's where the heaviness comes, right, in the mind. It's a problem, how to fix it, how to solve it. ये करे तो क्या होगा, वो करे तो क्या होगा, इसको ऐसा होना चाहिए, इसको ऐसे करना चाहिए, right? We think about it. And that's where we are somewhere increasing the weight of our thoughts, right? So when I really see that solutions are outside the story, problems are inside, but solutions are outside. And so only when I consciously go outside, then I can be in that space of solution. the energy of solution.
सारा बल्ब दिखा दे, लाइट दिखाते ऊपर.
Right. Wow.
Outside the story.
So outside the story lies my inner stage. Outside the story means outside the body, outside this whole world. And that's where the world of the soul as a being of light. There's nothing to lose. There is nothing to worry about. That's where we are all, and that's where I, draw my might from, outside the story. And so that's where, like, an insecure mind will keep on battling, fighting. And that's where I'm, problem conscious. When I think the illusion is real, then I battle with it. When I think the illusion is real, then I battle with it. And a secure mind, which lives outside the story, battle in लड़ाई करना. मतलब जब मुझे लगता है कि illusion real है, जैसे नहीं बाबा ने कहा कि बाहर से तो शेर दिखता है पर अंदर से तो बिल्ली भी नहीं है, यानी illusion है, it's just an illusion, but I feel it is real. Illusion means any thoughts that I'm battling with, it's really an illusion. है कुछ नहीं, but I feel it is real, and then I battle with it. And then a secure mind is when I wake up to the reality, I enjoy every scene of life. That's the difference between a householder and a trustee. Right? The householder is insecure, and a trustee is secure. A householder will think about the problem, a trustee will think about the solution. Right? And then that's why a trustee's life then is just to enjoy. There's a little video. Let's.
After witnessing the violent rage shown by babies whenever deprived of an item they considered their own, Jean Piaget, a founding father of child psychology, observed something profound about human nature. Our sense of ownership emerges incredibly early. Why are we so clingy? There's a well-established phenomenon in psychology known as the endowment effect, where we value items much more highly just as soon as we own them. In one famous demonstration, students were given a choice between a coffee mug or a Swiss chocolate bar as a reward for helping out with research. Half chose the mug and half chose the chocolate. That is, they seemed to value the two rewards similarly. Other students were given a mug first and then a surprise chance to swap it for a chocolate bar, but only 11% wanted to. Yet another group started out with chocolate, and most preferred to keep it rather than swap. In other words, the students nearly always put greater value on whichever reward they started out with. Part of this has to do with how quickly we form connections between our sense of self and the things we consider ours. That can even be seen at the neural level. In one experiment, neuroscientists scanned participants' brains while they allocated various objects either to a basket labeled mine or another labeled Alex's. When participants subsequently looked at their new things, their brains showed more activity in a region that usually flickers into life whenever we think about ourselves. Another reason we're so fond of our possessions is that from a young age, we believe they have a unique essence. Psychologists showed us this by using an illusion to convince 3 to 6-year-olds they built a copying machine, a device that could create perfect replicas of any item. When offered a choice between their favorite toy or an apparently exact copy, the majority of the children favored the original. In fact, they were often horrified at the prospect of taking home a copy. This magical thinking about objects isn't something we grow out of. Rather, it persists into adulthood while becoming ever more elaborate. For example,
While we were explaining about letting go,
Mhm.
one thing came to my mind about was children.
Mm.
Because when you take their toys away,
Right.
they cry.
Yeah.
I
Mm. Right.
was just thinking it was a great
Mm.
example.
राइट या बताइए वीडियो हिंदी में। तो इसमें ये बता रहे हैं कि कैसे कि किस चीज को हम वैल्यू करते हैं। जो मेरी चीज होगी उसको हम ज्यादा वैल्यू करेंगे, जो चीज मेरी नहीं है उसको हम उतना वैल्यू नहीं करेंगे। जैसे कि अगर हमारे 2 बास्केट हैं, एक में लिखा है मेरा, एक में लिखा है एलेक्स का, तो जो भी चीज हम मेरे जिसमें लिखा है उसमें डालेंगे तो हमें लगेगा वो ज्यादा मेरी, सेंस ऑफ ओनरशिप उससे आएगी। फिर उन्होंने एक एग्जाम्पल दिया कि एक बार कहीं कोई वॉलंटियर कोई कर रहे थे और उसका गिफ्ट में किसी को कप मिला, किसी को चॉकलेट मिली। तो जिनको कप मिला उनको कहा अभी चॉकलेट ले लो, कप वापस कर दो। तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं, ये तो मेरा है। जिनको चॉकलेट मिली फिर उनको कहा थोड़ी देर बाद आप वापस कर दो, कप ले लो। उन्होंने कहा नहीं, ये मेरी है ना। मतलब कहने का ये था कि जो उन्होंने अपने पास रख लिया थोड़े ज्यादा समय के, तो उन्हें लगता है ये चीज मेरी हो गई, तो वहां से फिर अटैचमेंट शुरू हुआ। और ये बच्चों का एग्जाम्पल दे रहे थे, जैसे अगर कोई खिलौना है और एग्जैक्ट सेम खिलौना हमने दूसरा बना दिया, पर बच्चे को बोलेगा नहीं मुझे यही चाहिए, वो नहीं चाहिए, ये मेरा है, वो मेरा नहीं है तो सेम, पर उसको यही चाहिए। यानी कहने का है कि जहां भी मेरापन है, whatever I feel is mine, that is what I value. That is where I'll create ownership.
And also, I was saying that
Mm.
they did the study why this is happening from childhood.
Yeah,
As a
right.
baby,
As a baby, yeah.
they recognizing attachment.
हाँ,
Yeah.
तो बच्चों से ही, जैसे ये बचपन से ही ये शुरू हो जाता है।
ये संस्कार जो कहते हैं घर में भी कि बच्चों को
मेरा।
सिखाओ, बांट के खाए,
हाँ,
है ना, एक्सचेंज करना सीखें।
हाँ,
तो
हाँ,
सिखाते हैं ना
correct,
संस्कारों में बच्चे वो मात पिता,
right.
तो
Yeah.
सही है।
Mm.
लेकिन बड़े होके वो भूल जाता है ना, मेरा
हाँ।
मेरा वो कहते हैं नॉट मेरा,
Yeah.
नॉट माइन।
हाँ, तो वही जैसे कि डीप साइकोलॉजिकल लेवल पे दिस इज हाउ थिंग्स आर वर्किंग। इट्स लाइक
नहीं, ये बहुत अच्छा आपने किया ना, छोटे छोटे बच्चों को भी मतलब इस प्रकार से खुश होंगे ना और इस संस्कार मिलेंगे,
राइट।
जैसे एंजेलिक्स वगैरह।
I was thinking, as we grow up at work, at anywhere, we have this, or like we get very possessive. It's mine at workplace. It's actually it's my idea. I was the first one to put this idea in
True.
at workplace. When someone else tried to take the credit,
Mm.
you get very upset. Because
Right.
it's my, I want to be
Yeah.
the person to show it's my idea.
Yeah,
It's all the learning from
yeah,
childhood.
childhood. Yeah. Mhm.
जिसको बाबा कहते बालक सुबालक मालिक सुबालक।
Right. Yes. Yeah. So that's where this whole, like staying light and being a trustee, it's all about at every point I have to train my mind to say, no, this is not mine, that is not mine, this person, this object, nothing. Mine is only the one divine. That training has to happen. Mhm. Right. So maybe end with one slide. So this is really the process that takes place when we are, thinking of anything that is mine. सो माइंड क्रिएट्स वैल्यू. जो भी चीज मेरी है उसको हम वैल्यू करेंगे. However, that value is not part of the object or person I call mine. Where is that value? That value is in the mind. मेरे मन में वो value है. An image of the object or person which includes the value is created in the mind. That is my car, my child. That image in my mind is not real. It is only an idea created by my mind. यानी मन में हमने एक आइडिया बना लिया, वो आइडिया रियल नहीं है, पर वो मैंने अपने मन में मैं सोच रहा हूँ रियल है. तो होता क्या है? दिस इज हाउ इट वर्क्स. अभी मेरे से क्या होता है? व्हाट आर द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस? I put my sense of self into my car or my child. That is, I identify with them. I do not do this with a car or a child which is not mine. तो अपने आप को हम उसमें खो देते हैं. मेरी गाड़ी है, मेरा बच्चा है, किसी और की गाड़ी है, किसी और की बच्चे में नहीं, क्योंकि उसकी इमेज हमने नहीं बनाई. My car or my child is not who I am. This identification aims to make the relationship permanent, but instead I create attachment. नहीं, तो जो भी मैंने अपने मन में इमेज बना ली, तो इसीलिए बनाई क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि हमेशा ये मेरे साथ रहे. लेकिन ऐसे होता नहीं, ये केवल एक अटैचमेंट मैंने क्रिएट किया. और उस अटैचमेंट से क्या होता है? व्हाट आर द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस ऑफ अटैचमेंट? वरी, चिंता, एंजाइटी, है ना, एंड फियर ऑफ लॉस, क्योंकि मैं उसको लूज कर सकता हूँ. देन उसके बाद सॉरो, दुख. These emotions feed the ego. These emotions feed the ego. इससे ईगो बढ़ता जाता है. Now, what I want to experience is love and appreciation. Love is an expression of giving because I want what is best for the loved one, the child. मतलब एक बच्चा है, पर ऐसे नहीं कि मेरा वो नहीं, लेकिन उसके लिए जो अच्छा है हम वो चाहते हैं प्यार में. Appreciation, I appreciate having this useful facility, in this case the car, है ना. तो I appreciate है तो अच्छा है, मतलब, लेकिन मेरा उस भाव से नहीं. To be free from attachments, I see myself as a trustee. Attitude of a trustee means freedom from fear of loss. I know that nothing is mine. इतना ही है बस, कि सब कुछ यूज करना है, सब कुछ, पर मेरा नहीं है. तो पिक्चर में भी ये दिखाया है, जैसे ना कि कुछ भी मेरा समझने से ना फिर डबल लॉक लग जाता है. जो बाबा कहते हैं डबल लॉक मीन्स फिर the spiritual dimension is not existing anymore, and I forget, I lose the plot. So this is something which is like double lock. So in this position, I'll feel, oh, it's good to know the situation. I'll chase after all these things, people, position, power, all that. The mind will always be confused. This is all. ये सब जब मेरेपन में होते हैं तब ऐसा होता है. फिर हम बिल्कुल जैसे कि slave हैं, जैसे, But then we just need to shift the consciousness, where we look at the larger perspective, where I know that I'm a being of light, I am a soul. I don't need anything from the story. I have everything. I have all the souls, the family. I have all the possessions from God. Everything I have. I don't need anything. And that's where I can connect to the Supreme and draw might from the Supreme. Right?
इसके लिए बाबा कहते हैं think always think my only
Yeah,
Baba.
mine is the one.
Only my Baba.
Yeah. तो माई बाबा याद आने से then I can get to that higher consciousness. नहीं तो क्या है कि इसी में ही फिर हम इसी में जैसे स्ट्रगल चलते रहेगा. Keep on struggling with these emotions. एक जाएगा फिर दूसरा आएगा, फिर दूसरा जाएगा फिर तीसरा आएगा, ऐसे. Right? But the root is all this whole thing of mind. तो मेरा कहने से मन को बचाना है, जैसे मेरा नहीं. कुछ भी है, चाहे प्रेज है तो भी मेरा नहीं है. प्रेज, स्तुति, चाहे निंदा है तो भी मेरी नहीं है. लाइक इन सब से जैसे परे, टू गो बियॉन्ड, अच्छा हो रहा है तो भी मेरा नहीं है, पूरा हो रहा है तो भी मेरा नहीं है. Like to be in that neutral state. Yeah. Mm. And that's where a sense of freedom naturally comes in the mind. Mm. And so said grahasthi versus trusty. गृहस्थी यानी मेरा मेरा मेरा, तो इसीलिए गृहस्थी का जीवन फिर ऐसा होएगा, है ना. और ट्रस्टी यानी तेरा 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 रे तेरा, तो ट्रस्टी का जीवन फिर it will be filled with love and appreciation and freedom and bliss. Right? Mhm.
या फिर मैं ऐसे सोचती हूँ कि गृहस्थी में मेरा मेरा, या तो फिर वो एक मेरा है, सब कुछ मेरा, तो आप फिर सबकी टेक केयर करते हो ना. मेरा जब करते हो तो सब मेरा हो जाता है.
बेहद में
बेहद,
जैसे
जो बाबा कहते हैं ना, हद से
मेरा क्यों मेरा, क्योंकि बाबा का है इसीलिए मेरा है.
हाँ,
लाइक दैट, विद दैट फीलिंग कि बाबा का है तो मेरा है. जैसे बड़ी दादी का था,
ना अपना समझ के करो, बाबा का है, बाबा मेरा है तो बाबा की सब कुछ मेरा है,
सब कुछ मेरा है. राइट.
तो अगर हद में है मेरा तो वो ठीक नहीं है.
हाँ.
हर जगह बाबा का है तो मेरा है.
करेक्ट.
तो अगर एक बच्चे का हम अटेंशन दे रहे हैं वो मेरा है, तो अगर सबकी तरफ अटेंशन है
राइट.
तो दैट इज गुड.
या.
जिसको बाबा ने कहा हद से निकलकर बेहद.
बेहद.
अनलिमिटेड.
Yes.
नॉट लिमिट,
Yeah.
अनलिमिटेड. थिंक अनलिमिटेड.
Yeah.
लेकिन ये मुझे लगता है तभी होगा जब हमने उसको पकड़ा है ठीक से. अगर पकड़ा नहीं है
Yeah.
तो
Right.
इजी नहीं है.
Yeah. That's where, like, when I'm drawing the power from God, only then this, the consciousness becomes natural. Right. Right.
नहीं तो क्या है ना, वो प्रैक्टिकल में नहीं आता है, वो शब्दों में और उसमें रह जाता है.
Right.
जब तक हमारा कंसंट्रेशन, मतलब उससे अचीवमेंट जब हो जाती है ना,
Right.
तब फिर ये इजी हो जाता है. जब तक अचीवमेंट नहीं है, खाली शब्दों में घूम रहा है, खाली ज्ञान में घूम रहा है, बाबा ने कहा स्वरूप बनो.
Right. Cha, Om Shanti. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, family. Om Shanti. Any final thoughts anyone would like to add?
अच्छा आपका ये मतलब मेन तो साइकोलॉजी और मेरा जो कॉन्शियस है वो इसको होल्ड कर लें. Hold it. So then all is good.
Sure. So have a good evening, everyone. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarupai. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Thank you.